Hey gamers, Nature here. Today we have a really big one for you. We're going to cover some of the December 12th changes to Hunter in WoW Season of Discovery. Fair warning, these are big changes, these are big implementations. Although they might not seem that huge, they're going to change everything when it comes to the meta, so stay tuned. Now, before we start, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps push out the content. Appreciate the support. Let's get right into it. All right. Now, assuming everything that's on Wowhead is correct, the three changes that will occur, one is going to be with our flanking strength, two is going to be with our pet scaling, and three is going to be with aspect of the lion, which is going to be changed to heart of the lion. Now, when it comes to flanking strength, basically the trade-off here, what you need to know, is this is no longer going to hit like a wet noodle. The trade-off is flanking strike is now going to trigger a global cooldown, which it wasn't before. So we can't macro it into our Raptor strike like we were previously. However, this is going to hit very, very hard. This is actually going to be one of the hardest hitting abilities that we have. And if the mana consumption stays the same, which is at 18 mana, it's absolutely going to be the most efficient ability when it comes to damage. Now, when it comes to your pets, they've fixed the broken pet scaling. What I mean by that is magic pets were scaling much higher than melee pets. I did a whole video on this and explained the math if you're interested, but basically they've normalized that. Magic pets are not going to be broken anymore. In addition to that, your scorpion pet, the damage was getting multiplied by each stack of poison up to 5 times. They've actually taken that damage and spread it out between all 5 stacks, so you can expect the scorpion to do way less damage. A side note here with pets, it's not as important, but they're gonna not scale as much as far as their stamina and armor, so that'll affect that as well. When it comes to aspect of the lion, this is a huge change. I can't tell you how exciting this is as a hunter to have this kind of get fixed. Now, they haven't really explained this altogether. It looks like aspect of the lion was moved to an aura. If this is a regular ability that we can pick up and we no longer have to waste our chest rune on it, this is going to be huge. However, one thing we do know, even if we have to use our chest rune on it, we will be able to stack the aura, which is going to be called Heart of the Lion, with aspect of the hawk. Now, I'll explain how big that is later, but that's a huge increase for hunters. And the idea here, it looks like, is Blizzard's kind of trading off the reduced pet scaling damage that we'll have with Scorpion and Wind Serpents, and they're trading that off by giving us a little bit more attack power and being able to use Hawk and Lion at the same time. All right, now here's what you need to know. The first thing you're going to do, regardless of your build or preference of playing, you're going to pick up improved aspect of the Hawk. This talent point for point, is the strongest talent point you can get. It's basically a 20 to 30% uptime on a 30% haste buff. It's absolutely nutty. It'll net you the most DPS unless if you're a melee only hunter. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to focus on our chest rune. Now, Blizzard hasn't made it clear whether aspect of the lion is going to be a trainable aura and it's something we could pick up from the trainer, or if it's going to stay a chest rune. Assuming this stays a chest rune, in order to do your best build, you're still going to have to bring a second hunter or paladin to provide King's buff, because we're going to pick up Master Marksman. This is more DPS, it's 5% crit, and it reduces your mana consumption by 25. Now, I will note, however, you can use Aspect of the Lion and Aspect of the Hawk, so this is a little bit stronger than what it used to be, and it's not as far behind. For me, for example, with my gear, this adds 15 agility, 15 strength. It's not as bad as what it used to be, but it's not as good as 5% crit. Now, the second thing we'll focus on is with the hands, with our runes. Beast Mastery, with the new update, this rune is going to do about 10 to 11 DPS. I'll put the math and my full hunter guide in the Google document in the description if you're interested on how we got there. Explosive Shot, this is going to do relatively about 14 DPS. This will also scale with your gear a little bit. So more gear, you might do 15, less gear, you might do 13, but it's relatively about 14 DPS. This costs 6% of your mana pool. Chimera Shot, this is where it starts getting interesting. Depending on your gear, is typically going to do about 18 to 28 DPS. So a slower weapon, better gear. This is a scaling ability that's going to scale much more than the others because it's mostly based on our weapon damage output. Now, with all that being said, Chimera Shot is about 12% of your mana pool and has the highest mana consumption. So again, we're about 11 DPS Beast Mastery. We're about 28 on Chimera Shot, and we're about 14 on Explosive Shot. Now, based off your gear, again, this might be a little bit different, but when we flip this around and we look at efficiency on a longer boss fight, Beast Mastery costs you no mana. This is the most efficient ability. Explosive Shot becomes the second most efficient ability, and Chimera Shot is the third most efficient ability. Now, for those that are wondering, since Explosive Shot is an AoE ability, if you hit 3 targets or more, Explosive Shot is better. 2 targets, it's pretty much about a wash with Chimera. 1 target, absolutely Chimera is better. Now, the last rune we're going to talk about is the leg rune. Now, previously, most people actually were under a false assumption that sniper training was the best rune to use here, or potentially kill command was the best rune to use here. Now, kill command, when everything was fully broken with the pets, was the best rune. No doubt about it because of the multipliers. Now that that's fixed, the current meta as of today is to use sniper training if you stand still. With the changes implemented, flanking strike and sniper training are going to be about similar if you have full time on sniper training. So I want to be careful how I word this. Sniper training, however, is not going to be your best in slot because it's going to be almost impossible to have full uptime. I will warn you, if there's a fight that has 100% uptime on sniper training, it will barely edge out the new flanking strike. So again, if you're a standstill range player, I would go with sniper training. If you're somebody who likes to do the melee weave, flanking strike is going to net you more DPS on almost any fight, unless if you could potentially stand still 100% of the time. With all that being said, let's do a quick recap. We're definitely getting 5 out of 5 into improved aspect of the Hawk. We're definitely picking up Master Marksman. When it comes to hands, we can do what we want and depending on how we play. Beast Mastery, Chimera, and Explosive Shot are all relevant. Technically, Chimera Shot is the best option. With the legs, Flanking Strike and Sniper Training are both pretty much equivalent. Kill Command and Serpent Spread, unfortunately, these are still nerfed to the ground. These are netting about 1 DPS, don't even pick them up. But Flanking Strike, Sniper Training, you're either playing turret range or you're melee weaving, either or is great. Now, when it comes to the rest of the talent points, what we'll actually do is one of 3 things. If you're a Beast Mastery player, you can pick up 3 out of 5 in Endurance Training, 2 out of 2 into Improved Revive Pet, 5 out of 5 into Unleash Fury, 1 out of 5 into Ferocity. No longer are the pet scaling multipliers going to be broken, so we're not going to get as insane damage out of this, but we are going to net about 10 to 15 DPS increase over the base with these talent points. Now, the other option, if you're a melee hunter or melee weaver, we can pick up 3 out of 3 into humanoid slaying, 3 out of 3 into monster slaying, 2 out of 2 into savage strikes, and 3 out of 5 into efficiency. This is going to net about the same. It's going to be about 10 to 15 DPS increase with these talent points. So for the melee max weavers or for the melee only hunters, this is going to be the way to go. Technically speaking, for the most efficient, most damage, there's actually going to be a shocker here. It's going to be aim shot. So aim shot's going to work its way back up to be king. We're going to do 5 out of 5 efficiency, 5 out of 5 lethal shots, and aim shot. So we broke down both of the other choices are about 10 to 15 with the talents. This option, however, is going to be roughly about 25 DPS with a pre-raid BIS gear or better build. So this is going to scale the most. A lot of people haven't brought up aim shot. It hasn't been as relevant, but keep in mind, aim shot does your base weapon damage plus 70. So this is going to be scaling with your gear. As we get pre-raid BIS or better, this is going to be the best build. It's going to net the most DPS. The last thing that we're going to cover is what pet is now going to be the meta. I had an entire video I did on this, basically calling and saying what Blizzard was going to do when they brought up these changes 4 or 5 days ago. It hit it dead on the head. So for all the fans, everybody that was watching, appreciate the support. We got it right here. Now let's explain why. The cat is going to be the best in slot, or a raptor, because it has a 110% damage modifier. When the pet abilities aren't broken, and when they do this fix, pet abilities aren't that strong. They only do about 10% of the pet's damage. So having the 110% multiplier on base damage is going to be king. With that being said, Blizzard also seems like they're trying to normalize pet abilities to make them do about the same amount of damage anyway. So it wouldn't matter what type of pet you have, it's about the multiplier, in cats and raptors have the highest. With all that being said, your choices when it comes to raptors is all 2.0 attack speed. When it comes to cats, you can get anywhere from 1.2 to 2.0. We'll want to focus on getting actually the 2.0, the slower attack speed, because when we use our flanking strike ability, this is going to trigger an auto attack from our pet, and we want that auto to be as strong as possible. Now, I do get some questions about, would it be worth it to get a slower pet like a bear that has a slower attack speed in order to maximize that flanking strike? Absolutely not. We want the 110 damage multiplier, which is provided from the cat or raptor. And the reason for that is flanking strike's only a 30-second CD. That little bit of difference isn't going to matter, but the multiplier, the 110%, is. All right, now that's all we needed to cover. I'm going to have my full hunter guide, as always, in the description below. It's going to break down the math, how we got to where we are. Double check if for some reason we're wrong. Let us know in the comments. But appreciate everybody coming out. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. It absolutely helps and is critical to pushing out content. Other than that, you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.